Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the first in a series of 5 little 5 or 6 minute videos, each one dealing with one of the acts in Macbeth. Main themes, quotes, summarising things, just more or less going over what we did in class, but giving you a bit of a heads up before this coming Friday's test. I'm going to start with Act 1, Scene 1, the introduction of the witches. Why are they there? What are they doing at the very start of the play? Well, they're there because without them the play doesn't work. You need that. They're the main plot device, if you like. They provide the storyline. They help to drive the play forward. On the other hand, they also help to introduce notions of sort of contrasting notions, things like appearance versus reality. We spoke in class about appearances can be deceptive, and of course that's taken from quotes like the battle is lost and won, fair is foul, foul is fair, these sorts of things. So they also establish a certain sense in terms of the atmosphere and also in terms of the language. The third thing is a kind of historical aspect. Shakespeare knew that his patron and King James I was very interested in witchcraft. He wrote a book called Demonology, so of course it's also a way of pleasing his patron and his king, introducing such a sort of important supernatural element in the play. Important to remember that they use a slightly different metre than the others. They talk in trochaic tetrameter, which are your 8 syllables with the stress on the first one. Remember, we spoke about this in class the other day, so remember that as well. That's quite important. Moving on to the second scene. The second scene is more or less a vehicle with which we learn excuse me, about Macbeth before we see him, because of course he's not in the play until the third scene, but he is described in this scene as loyal and brave and being the sort of perfect subject, the perfect warrior for any king to have, you know, getting rid of rebels and killing people all over the place. And indeed, the king issues him with the Thane of Cawdor, the title of the Thane of Cawdor, at the end of this scene as well, having kind of got rid of the other Thane of Cawdor for being a traitor. Scene 3, the witches are back. It's so foul and fair a day I have not seen. It's what Macbeth, of course, says. That's a direct relationship back to, of course, what the witches said in the first scene. What you get in this scene are the prophecies, and they, of course, are the whole play hinges on the prophecies, or at least this part of the play hinges on the prophecies until the apparitions come back later in the thing. Now, what are those prophecies telling us? Well, they're saying to Macbeth that he's going to be the Thane of Cawdor, and little does he know he is already the Thane of Cawdor. They're going to say that he's the king, and that Banquo is going to have his children will be kings. He himself won't be a king, but his children will be. At this point, it's important. Macbeth is he kind of wakes to the idea that this is possible. There are possibilities for him to become king, but he's still thinking quite rationally. He's still thinking, yeah, but you know what? If chance will have me king, then chance may crown me. So he's still kind of thinking quite rationally about it. Of course, what happens at the end of the scene is that Ross and the other noblemen arrive, and they actually issue him with the thaneship. And Banquo utters those famous words, "Oh, what can the devil speak true?" You know, introducing for the first time a direct link between the witches and the devil, so kind of the root and the seat of all evil. And of course they're like, what? You know, that's incredible. And on the basis of that, even though the first prophecy has essentially immediately come true, Macbeth, still not entirely sure, still thinking, yeah, hang on, you know, perhaps it's all just to do with fate and I should just let fate take its course. Scene 4, we have the sort of worthiest cousin. You know, Macbeth goes back and meets Duncan with Banquo, and Duncan, of course, is delighted by his behaviour and all the things that he's done. And whilst on the one hand he's thinking to himself, yeah, you know, this is great, you know, to be awarded this thaneship, and perhaps I should just be content with that. On the other hand, he's kind of upset that Duncan names Malcolm as his heir apparent, the heir to the throne. Macbeth feels a bit sort of upset by that because of the prophecies. So at the same time as being quite rational about it, he's also thinking, you know, my black and deep desires, or my dark and deep desires, and these are the ones that he's, of course, already they're starting to take shape in his mind. You know, let not light see my black and deep desires. That's what does he do? He sends a letter explaining all this to his missus, who we get to in scene 5. And of course, Lady Macbeth we spoke at length about in class with the Prezi, and all the stuff that was in the Prezi is important. It's all about the milk of human kindness, and unsex me here, and come thick night, and the raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. So it's all about, you know, him coming to the castle, being invited by Macbeth to come, and of course Lady Macbeth the whole time plotting, you know what, we're going to get rid of him. What is she? She's the catalyst, she's the powerhouse behind the whole business, she's the strongest, she's the one that's in control, and she is the one who has the most ambition. Moving on to scene 6, we get essentially the moment when Duncan arrives. He comes in, he's with all these noblemen. The first thing he says is, wow, this castle looks great, it looks lovely, it looks very inviting. Of course, the irony of that is that it's anything but that. This will be the place where he sleeps his final sleep. And of course, you also have these ironic words that Lady Macbeth is his fair and noble hostess. Again, that word fair, it comes back again and again. And give me your hand, you know, that sort of official thing, you know, give me your hand, and he'll give it a sort of a kiss, or he'll take her by the hand. Often, of course, hands hugely important in the play later. So again, that's very symbolic. And the final scene in Act 1 is scene 7, when we get the first of Macbeth's soliloquies. If it be done, when it is done, then it's best to be done quickly. You know, we need to get it over with. And you've got a very long soliloquy, which is wonderful, because it's when he's telling himself that, of course, the idea that Lady Macbeth has that they should kill Duncan is complete nonsense. Why on earth would they do that? He's here in double trust. He says, I am his kinsman and his subject. You know, why on earth would I do the deed, as it's already mentioned in this particular soliloquy? And the second thing is, everybody loves Duncan, he's a great king. Why on earth would we want to kill him? It would be complete madness. And of course, he then says, you know what, we're not going to do this any further. We will no longer proceed in this business, or we will proceed no further with this business, is what he says to his missus. And his missus goes mental. Say, what? You're having a laugh? You said all these things to me. You're a coward, and you're not a man, and you're pale in colour, and you're white, and all the rest of it. And all these metaphors for him being a bit of a coward. And she, of course, comes out with that famous sort of line which says, you know what, I would be prepared to kill my own children if I promised that I would do what you promised that you would do to me. And of course, he comes and says, but what if we fail? And she's like, what, we fail? And come on, man, be a man, have some courage, I'll take charge of the whole business. And what started at the scene, my knife, I'll do the killing, my keen knife, I think she calls it. At the end, she's sort of like, you know, I'll take care of it, it's my business now. He's going to kill, she's going to take charge. What else do you need to think about for this scene? You need to remember that the scenes very often end with heroic couplets in iambic pentameter. So away and mock the time with fairest show, false face must hide what the false heart doth know. These are the types of kind of literary things, notwithstanding the metaphors and the symbols and the examples of personification that we spoke about in class, and that again you'll need to be aware of and thinking about for the test this coming Friday. That's it for Act 1. 8.5 minutes, and I'll see you in Act 2.